Oh, you thought some man named Kim Jong-un was gonna start World War III? You were so wrong. Jujutsu Kaisen has finally dropped its nuke. Wait. Chapter 200 revealed the cards Kenjaku had been secretly preparing with the corrupt world governments around the globe, as Chapter 167 told us about a nuke that was going to drop on Satoru freaking Gojo and his team. I have exclusive footage on what people have to say about this.
ये बिक गई है गवर्नमेंट, अब गवर्नमेंट में कुछ नहीं है। ये बहनचोद सारे मिलके हमको पागल बना रहे हैं मादरचोद के बच्चे।
Kenjaku spares no moment to make Satoru Gojo's life worse, bringing a war to Japan against the man himself. The whole world is going to get involved in the culling games, and nobody seems like an ally for Itadori's gang. In chapter 199, Sukuna was declared the Fallen, or as Angel would say, her mortal enemy. We already knew that Yuji and Megumi were in a pickle. This situation spelled out a difficult decision, one being to choose to unseal Gojo with Angel's curse technique after fulfilling their goal of killing Sukuna, which would effectively kill Yuji Itadori, or number two, forging their alliance with her without any other real chance to unseal Gojo, because realistically, who can defeat Sukuna? Oh wow, the illusion of choice. Am I right?
I think my brain just committed suicide.
But as we saw in chapter 157, Yuji still believes that he is nothing but a cog in the machine. After Sukuna kindly divulged his identity as the Fallen to Yuji, it was only natural that he would find his death worthy enough to be compared to Gojo's unsealing. As he states himself, Yuji's death is a cheap price to pay, as he had seen firsthand the kind of power Satoru freaking Gojo wielded, and even if he trained for days on end, he couldn't simply catch up to his sensei in such a short while. In Itadori's eyes, if he died right now, not only would most of Sukuna be gone, since he has consumed 15 fingers, but Satoru Gojo would also be free. It kills two birds with one stone. He immediately conveyed to Megumi with his actions that Sukuna was actually the one Angel was looking for so adamantly, as he refers back to chapter 7 when Sukuna took over his body to face Megumi and you know, did that sexy scene where all the girls simp for Sukuna. However, our analysis in last week's video shows that we were correct, that even in such a predicament, Megumi would bet on Yuji Itadori's life, because he was the one who made the decision to save him in the first place. Plus, Satoru Gojo's teachings wouldn't have let him trade a friend's life. So in conclusion, you have to hit the notification bell for the channel, you silly willy. Why haven't you joined our community yet so we stay on the same page and enjoy peak fiction together? On top of that, Anime Drip Dop Shop is also selling some cool Jujutsu Kaisen shirts like the one where they are dancing, and also this block shirt which is absolutely fire. There will be a surprise for you in the pinned comment. So essentially, Megumi's principles had certainly been impacted by Yuji's ideology, so it would be incredibly out of character for him to simply agree to this bargain. Satoru Gojo had told him to take more risks, using the baseball game as an example of him doing a bunt instead of shooting for a home run. And he also told him in chapter 58 that dying to win and risking death to win are completely different. He wanted Megumi to understand that a sorcerer has to take a bet on himself and his closest friends to make it through the cruel world of Jujutsu. This falls under the theme Hakairi further highlighted with the idea of gambling to feel a fever. Being a sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen is the amalgamation of trial and tribulations that sprout growth in a person. Life itself is a gamble. We don't know if we are going to live to see tomorrow. Therefore, Megumi's first thought after coming to know the important information was that Yuji will do something drastic and the complete opposite of Gojo's lesson. Like, you know, happily agree to die himself.
I am going to commit suicide.
While Itadori's death wish certainly makes things complicated, there are worse things at bay without an escape, as Kenjaku's nuke has been launched. Reggie had warned Megumi that all the 10 colonies were reaching a stalemate. This meant that eventually all the weak sorcerers would get eliminated, and the remaining players would either be allies like Yuji's gang or simply too powerful to eliminate any further. This was seriously suspicious being a sussy-wussy because it didn't line up with Kenjaku's objective of creating chaos beyond his own control, like he told Yuki in chapter 136. But we finally found out what he had been up to all this time. His plans had started back in February 2018, before the Shibuya incident and before Itadori had even consumed Sukuna's fingers. He went across the world informing them about what curse energy meant and how only Japanese sorcerers had it. This motherfucker even went all the way to the White House just to show the politicians, including the US president, video recordings of Satoru Gojo's team, as well as how cursed spirits and cursed energy work. Satoru Gojo was exposed in 4K! They captured him in 4K, fam! By exposing Satoru Gojo, we come to learn that Kenjaku actually wants the US and the other countries to capture Japanese sorcerers as research samples. Yes, he does. More specifically, he made sure to portray the sorcerers as a never running out battery. He knew that an energy resource to the USA is like a bone to a dog.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Just like clockwork, the Energy Minister of America takes Kenjaku's bait because the whole phenomena of cursed energy is an unexpendable source of energy that is also clean. Moreover, someone like Satoru Gojo, who could never run out of cursed energy, could power a whole freaking country on his own. Now, just to prove that Gege Akatami is a goat, and this is why I love this series, cursed energy was foreshadowed to be used as a resource like this as far back as chapter 12. Gojo compared cursed energy to electricity for Yuji to understand it in an easy manner. But it's crazy that this harmless parallel could become a cause of war. In the eyes of any country, cursed energy could replace sources like petroleum and geothermal energy, which would propel them decades into the future. Like, come on guys, it's not like we all don't know what USA loves the most when it comes to war, right? Like, take a guess in the comments. Can you get it right? Alright, let me tell you.
People who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil.
Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil, bitch? You cooking? Come on, yo, get out of here!
What's even more insane is that Kenjaku had carefully constructed his plan for so freaking long that he was confident in every bit to it, to the point he was visiting these foreign countries much before Yuji had even ingested Sukuna's fingers and becoming the perfect vessel that he constructed. He even chose Suguru Geto's body so meticulously because they both had a similar objective in mind, except Kenjaku's massacre takes the longer route. He wants cursed energy to prevail over the world to empower corrupt countries, politicians, and people everywhere. It's like scaling the rotten Jujutsu society to the whole world instead of only Japan. So now Satoru Gojo not only has to save Japan from corruption, but now the whole world is against him. Everyone will be rushing in to take away sorcerers for their benefit to boost their power and influence in world politics. This would also bring about the vicious Heian era with sorcerers fighting tooth and nail for survival against the militia of the world's most powerful countries. This complements Kenjaku's plan to revive Sukuna, to corner sorcerers into a kill or be killed scenario. But as we know, Sukuna is referred to as the Honored One, who knows the true nature of Jujutsu. He wants to rule the world and would hardly let some random man named Kenjaku dictate his life. It's obvious Sukuna has his own plans, and his order to Uraume from Shibuya in chapter 116 will be in motion already, especially because she's gladly accompanying Kenjaku right now, which means a plot twist is definitely going to occur. I'm telling ya, predicting it now. However, all of these events also certainly resemble real life oil embargoes that have taken place multiple times in history, because it's plain as day that energy can make or break a country. For example, example, in 1973, the oil crisis with King Faisal, and even right now with Russia, Jujutsu Kaisen just introduced a very real world conflict that justifies a world war. Only this time, it's the sorcerers who be fighting evil much greater than cursed spirits. All of it goes back to Kenjaku's conversation with Yuki in chapter 136. Yuki had pointed out that Japan had a virtual monopoly on cursed energy. There are only a few sorcerers and cursed spirits that appear overseas, and only the humans of Japan could optimize cursed energy because of Master Tengen's barriers. This meant that if Kenjaku wanted to optimize cursed energy, it would entice other countries of the world like the USA and the Middle East to take drastic actions. She even said that there would be a ton of suffering because the source of cursed energy was humans at the end of the day due to their negative emotions. If a war is taking place, negative emotions would hit their peak due to all the suffering that would occur, therefore bringing back the golden age of sorcery that Sukuna would rule over. And not to mention the unethical and immoral implications of using humans as a source of fuel? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Satoru Gojo must fix it, because Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 200 is proof that Kenjaku can go to any lengths, as he outright states that he doesn't want a peaceful and idyllic world, and that should have been enough to tell us that his menace knows no bounds and would only end in a world war against Satoru Gojo. And to commemorate this new phase of Kenjaku's world, Angel's Kogane informs that 807 new players have been introduced in the 10 colonies, and that they're all troops from across the world.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
This is absolutely crazy because there are only 5 days left before the culling games come to an end. But now that we know that there's no way Yuji Itadori and the others can stop this awful game, since Kenjaku has the backing of not just Jujutsu Society higher-ups but also all the politicians of the world, this signals that the bloodbath battle royale is about to begin and the stakes are the highest they've ever been. This war is going to completely overturn the balance of the world, much worse than Satoru Gojo's birth ever had, mentioned in chapter 96. We can only imagine how many people will die from here on out, and how many of them will be our freaking favorite characters, and I'm gonna cry my eyes out, like bruh. In fact, chapter 199 may have already given us a hint at our boy Megumi suffering a cruel death soon. Going back to chapter 173, Reggie's dying words to Megumi had been nothing but ominous. We already know that fate is a huge part of Jujutsu Kaisen's story, be it Suguru Geto or Maki, and even Angel called Megumi her fated one. So what really lies in Megumi's fate? In the previous chapter, Itadori called Angel Patricia or Patrici, but he saw that right when he saw her flying away with Megumi. This could have been a joke in reference to a popular tale of a dog of Flanders. It's a heartwarming story of a boy and a stray dog, until we come to the end. At the end of the tale, the boy and the dog are found frozen to death under a tree. This is like a neon red death flag for Megumi, cause he is literally a boy with a dog, which is his most relied on divine dog Shikigami from the 10 Shadows. And with the latest development, this simple reference can't bode well, as we know Sukuna is interested in Megumi and has a plan for him. And guess what? Ureume is also under Sukuna and is enacting a plan, right? And what technique does she have? A freezing ice curse technique? This is making too much sense. And Gege Akutami is the type of crazy writer that will pull this off and pull the trigger, killing off this character. Considering all things, it's sad to admit that unsealing Gojo is the most urgent task, even if it comes to a depressing price. So guys, that is everything you need to know. Why is Gojo so important? Well, you need to know how powerful he is. With this video on your screen right now, go watch it.